What's up, you beauties? Brendan Walsh with Hero Dose Wellness here. Appreciate you joining me for yet another yoga flow. We're going to get started with some nice, energizing morning yoga flow here today. Sorry, I keep looking over here because I'm standing pretty much on top of an active beehive, so that's pretty cool. Yeah, non sequitur for the day. It is a morning flow, so why not go with what is your favorite drink to start off the morning with? We will answer at the end of the flow. Let's do it. I'm going tarps off already because past videos, despite it being the morning, gets pretty hot pretty quick over here, and I don't want to get the mat all sweaty. Figure we'll get some good vitamin D while we're at it. All right, got my notes over here. We are going to start off on our backs, hugging our knees. I'm just going to take my lid off for these ones. Hugging our knees into our chest, gently massaging the lower back into the mat. We'll go ahead and just drop the soles of our feet down to the mat. Arms can come out by our sides, knees are bent, and we're just going to start off with some light windshield wipers. So just dropping our knees side to side, just getting some good gentle mobility in the hips to start off this flow. Go at your own speed. I would recommend starting off slow and then working up. Do some more repetition, but again, if you just want to stay in a nice, slow, steady cadence, that is totally fine as well. When you're ready, we can take this a step further, still keeping these windshield wipers active, dropping the knees side to side. But now this time, next time as we come down to the right side, when we drop down, we're going to extend the left leg out with that swipe, that wipe of the windshield. Bringing it back in, coming across the other side, left side. Now we're going to extend that right leg out. Oh yeah, really feel that release in your hips start to come in. We'll do a few more active, and then we will rest in a more static hold of this variation on supine spinal twist. Do one more each side for the active portion. And now this time, as we come down to the right side and extend our left leg out, we're just going to hold it there. Sink into this stretch and breathe. You can have your arms extended out by your sides. Maybe you have an arm or a hand lightly touching the top of your knee for just some stability and being able to hold the posture, the pose in place. But do whatever is most comfortable for you. And we'll just breathe here for just a few breaths. Okay, now just going to bring that left leg back in, and we're going to repeat that same pose on the right side, or left side rather. So dropping knees down to the left side, and then extending the right leg out. Again, have your arms out by your side, maybe you have a hand, applying some gentle pressure onto the leg, onto the knee, whatever is most comfortable for you. And one more breath here. We bring those legs back to center. Soles of the feet are still on the mat here. Now we're going to move into the supine figure 4 stretch. So keeping your left leg bent, you're now going to take your right leg, top of your right foot, we're going to place essentially right on top of the right knee. So creating this little crevice here with your right leg. And then you're just going to push out on your right knee with your right hand. And you can stay here. Maybe you're getting a nice deep sensation with this just by pushing out on the knee. If you want to take it a step further, you can gently sway your hips from side to side. Try to keep your core rooted to the ground, but swaying side to side here, you're going to get that added factor of mobility that comes along with the flexibility and strength that we are building here as we push through our knee and open up our hip. Next, we're just going to drop down all the way to the right side. So you're going to let essentially your left quad come down to the mat, trying to keep your spine as flat and as straight as possible on the mat, and then just hold here. And the final progression of this supine figure 4, I'm going to bring this figure 4 back to center. Now what we're going to do for the final progression, and if this is too much, you're more than welcome to stay in one of these other progressions. But for the third progression, we're now going to lift our left leg off the mat, creating this 90-degree angle with our left leg. We're now going to grab just above and behind. I think that's the right way to say it. Essentially just grabbing the back of your left leg. That's a better way to put it. Grabbing the back of your left leg. Now you're tucking your right elbow into your right knee and pushing out as you sway side to side. So adding some elevation into the active figure 4 is what's going to allow us to tap into the deeper fascia and the deeper connective tissues within this stretch. Just gently swaying side to side as you pull back on that left leg and push out on the right leg with your elbow, and just breathe. One more breath here. To release, go ahead, let that left foot come back down to the mat. Release that right leg. Foot comes down to the mat. And now we just repeat the same sequence on the other side. So bending the left leg, top of the left foot comes to the right knee. Then with the left hand, we're just going to apply some gentle pressure and push out on the left knee. You can stay here, or you can start to add in the gentle mobility to make this a little bit more active. Really wake up those muscles. Many of these muscles are simply in a deep state of slumber. It just takes a little bit extra to really wake them up, bring them back to life, and give them good energy. Breathing that chi all throughout your body. All right, one more breath here, and then we'll move on to the second progression of dropping the knee down to the ground as we allow the left leg, the left quad, the left thigh to come down to the mat. Right foot, right sole is still pressing into the mat. We're just holding here. Breathing into your hips, breathing into your solar plexus, feeling that length and that flexibility being invited into your body. One more breath here before moving on to the final progression. As we gently rotate our hips back to center and ultimately lifting that right leg off of the mat. Hands come behind the right leg, pulling in as we use our left elbow to apply some gentle pressure and press out on the left knee. Again, gently sway and invite this gentle stretch to provide the release or provide the energy that you are looking for to start your day or end your day. Because in reality, you can do these stretches whether you're just getting out of bed, whether you're looking for an afternoon pick-me-up, or if you're winding down, getting ready to call it a night. Or if it's 3 a.m. and you wake up and you just feel like doing a stretch, these are here for you. It's never a bad time. Just gently swaying back and forth. One more breath here. Go ahead and drop that right leg down to the mat. Release the left leg. Left foot comes down to the mat. And we'll do one more pose on our backs before we do a brief standing pose sequence, I suppose. And wrapping up. Here, we'll do the happy baby pose, so bringing your knees into your chest, grabbing the outside, grabbing the soles of your feet from the outside of your feet, and extending your feet up towards the sky, bringing them out as wide as possible while still pulling in on the soles of your feet. So essentially your quads and your thighs are being pulled into your torso. Now I have a bee crawling all over me. Here, you can hold it here. This is plenty much for, plenty of people, where whether the body limits you to just this position here or you're just getting started in your yoga practice, this is a fine place to be, just breathing into this stretch. However, if you're ready, we can go ahead and take it one step further and make it a bit active. Again, staying on this theme of mobility with these stretches, we're just going to sway side to side, using our core to keep us rooted on the mat. Especially with these side sways, you can really feel it in the deeper roots of your hamstrings and your glutes and your groin here. Just doing whatever progression is most comfortable for you or what your body allows you to do in this happy baby pose. Just hold here for a few breaths. One more breath here in happy baby. And to release, just letting go of your feet, letting your feet come down to the mat. Maybe we'll just do a couple quick windshield wipers. Make sure all the blood is flowing throughout the legs and especially the hips after that series we just did here. And we're going to wrap up just with some gentle, quick, active stretches, as this is an energizing morning flow. My guess is that most of us will not be laying on our backs for most of the day. So we'll go ahead, use our core to bring ourselves up and off the mat. You can cross your legs, come forward, toss the lid on for this. Here, we're just going to do a nice little active balancing table. So from hands and knees position, we're just going to extend out that right arm, simultaneously extending out the left leg, bringing them back to the mat, and repeating on the other side. Extend out the left arm and the right leg, and we're just going to move through this active balancing table for a few breaths, get the blood flowing, get some good energy coursing through our veins. Really wake up the body, wake up the mind. Go at your own speed here. Maybe you're going right in concert with me. Maybe you're going a little bit slower. Or maybe you had 3 cups of coffee before this yoga flow and you are just absolutely firing. Whatever works for you, whatever you are feeling, just make sure you are able to keep it under control and you are able to connect with your breath. If there are any 2 requirements, I would argue those are it. Those are them. Control and breath. All right, we're going to do one more on each side. 1, 2. Now as we return to hands and knees position, we're just going to flip the tops of our feet. So the balls of our feet are now on the mat. We're just going to lift up and extend backwards, and we are going to come into a downward facing dog. Oof. I'm feeling it in the calves this morning. Feels like a ship that is just breaking through a lake that is covered in ice. It is just crushing through my calves right now as we slowly pedal out the legs. Maybe you're just letting both ankles drop down to the mat at the same time. That's totally fine. Or, maybe you're doing a variation where you're pedaling each foot one at a time and really getting a deeper stretch within your calves and activating your hamstrings a little bit more. So just take one more breath here in down dog. Allow, again, some good blood flow in the legs. Here, we're going to go ahead and we are going to bring the right foot in between the hands. Right knee stacked just behind the right ankle. Drop your left knee down just a little bit, but ensure that it is lifted up off the mat. We're going to come into a low or crescent lunge here. We're just going to add some activity to it. I should mention, if this is enough for you, if this is getting the job done, I invite you to just sit here in the stretch. But if you do want to add just a little bit more mobility to it, we're going to bring the arms up, cactus arms 90 degrees by our side, and we are just going to turn side to side. Get that good mobility into the hips, into the spine, into the quads, into the glutes. How many more random muscle groups can I mention? And one more rotation on each side. Hands come down to the mat. Right foot swings back. It's coming back into down dog. You can stay here, pedal the heels out. Maybe you want to mad lib a nice little vinyasa flow in there. Just a little bit of extra credit. Some brownie points that your body will thank you for later. Not a requirement, though. It's not a class requirement. Simply extra credit. Pedaling those heels. Now taking the left leg, left foot comes between the hands, left knee stacked behind the left ankle. Right knee, we're just going to add a little bit of bend to that, making sure there's plenty of room off the mat, though. We're now back in the low lunge or the crescent lunge on the left side. Again, maybe this is plenty enough for you. If so, great. Breathe into this pose, find that control. If not, we're going cactus arms. We're getting mobile, and we're just going to rotate from side to side. It's good to get this lateral axis movement from this position, as the ability to rotate your body is very much synonymous with how flexible the body is. And when you have a flexible body, you have a flexible mind. And that leads to a flexible aura. That's when you find a place in your mind where you realize that despite external circumstances, despite life not always going according to your plan, everything's going to be all right. Everything is going to work itself out. It's simply on us to allow ourselves to remain flexible, to remain agile, despite this ever-changing world that we live in. Go ahead, one more rotation on each side. Drop those hands down. Left leg swings back, downward facing dog. Pedaling those heels out, just getting the blood back into these legs after some nice, powerful stretching to wrap up this energizing flow. Maybe you're going to mix in that vinyasa flow. Down dog. And you can walk, jump, or hop your feet to the front of your mat. Here, I've got a handful of other poses, but I'm feeling good. Hopefully you're feeling good. So we can just go ahead and wrap up this energizing morning flow with a nice garland squat. So, feet are maybe just outside hip width apart. And we're just going to sink into, like I said, the garland squat, often known as the catcher squat. Maybe this is enough for you, just sitting in the squat. Make sure your feet are flat on the ground. That's going to provide a lot of good release for these muscles, and ultimately what's going to help you build a strong foundation and core is being able to root through all four corners of your feet. And if you want to take it a step further from here, just sitting in the squat, you can go ahead, bring your hands to prayer position, then tuck your elbows inside of your knees. And then we're just going to press out. Elbows pressing out on the knees. Maybe you're making it a little bit active here. Swaying the hips. And this is it. This is going to be the last pose here in this flow. Do it for a few breaths, and then we're getting on with our day. We can be thankful that not only that we had the time for this flow, but more importantly, that we created the time to be with ourselves and be with our bodies and be with our minds, and ultimately allow ourselves to invite this good energy into our bodies to begin our days. And if you felt maybe frustrated at all in any of these stretches, I encourage you to challenge yourself to detach yourself from that frustration, where maybe you're frustrated that you're not able to do all of the progressions of these poses, or maybe you're frustrated that somebody else in class is more flexible than you. Whatever the frustration is, what I'm encouraging you to consider is that yoga is simply like chopping down a tree, a really big tree at that, where you're not going to chop down the tree in one swipe of the axe. It takes constant repetition. It takes effort. It takes commitment. So it takes us showing up on our mat on a consistent, regular basis, which is ultimately going to not just redevelop a relationship with our bodies and mind, but ultimately create an entirely new relationship with our bodies and mind. So, thank you for letting me ramble in this garland squat. If you've got your arms tucked in to the knees, you can go ahead and release those. And then if you want, you can go ahead and just extend up. Oh, baby, we are feeling good. You can just go ahead and shake out all the limbs, especially the legs, getting the good flows back into the hips, back into the solar plexus. And then, like I said, the non sequitur for today was going to be, what is your favorite drink to start off your morning? I guess I'm cheating once again with my answer. I typically start my morning off with 2 drinks. I start off with a quart of ice water. As well, I have a nice hot lemon ginger tea with pre and probiotics by Bigelow to just get the good bacteria going in the gut to start the day. So ice water, herbal tea, that's how I like to start my day. Would love to hear your answers in the comments, or if you want to hit me up and talk about it, that's cool too. But yeah, thanks for joining me in this energizing morning flow, and we'll see you for the next one.